Welcome everyone to Wrasslin Raw!
You're listening to Wrasslin Raw, the podcast that takes you back to when the World Wrestling Federation developed a little bit of an attitude. Thank you for joining us. You're here with Ryan Arico.
Yes, he's stone cold for sure.
Joe Gimateo.
Bartlett, I want a piece of you real bad, baby.
I'm the one and only Jason Bartlett, and we're going to examine WWE history one episode of Raw at a time. In this episode of Wrasslin Raw, we're going to be talking about the Raw that aired on March 11th, 1996. This Raw was recorded at the Freeman Coliseum in San Antonio, Texas, and features Vince McMahon and Jerry the King Lawler on commentary. Are you guys ready?
I'm ready.
Ready.
All right, then let's get into it. The Undertaker and Yokozuna, their casket matches were legendary, but now they've buried their differences. And we'll take on Owen Hart and the British Bulldog tonight. Acting President Rowdy Roddy Piper will be here to tell us who the Ultimate Warrior will be facing at Wrestlemania. Oh, and Roddy will confront Goldust, too. That couldn't possibly be entertaining. We'll also be taking a look at how Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels are preparing for the Iron Man match. All that and more tonight on Monday Night Raw. And crank up the carumba beat, bitches, as we go into our first match of the night. Savio Vega versus the Stone Cold Ringmaster Steve Austin ends in a double countout in 6 minutes and 20 seconds. So Vince keeps calling him the Ringmaster at the start of the match, occasionally calling him a Stone Cold Man sprinkled throughout, but the chyron that appears at the bottom of the screen to start the match labels this man as Stone Cold Steve Austin. And just like that, folks, we are seeing the birth of the biggest moneymaker in the history of wrestling. And as we've noted in the past weeks, this is the traditional Steve Austin look now. There isn't a spangly vest or goofy attitude. This is the Steve Austin that we will see dominate the WWF for years to come. And this match kicks off fast and hard. These two are throwing elbows that look fantastic. Savio is lightning fast, and Austin is keeping up with him. At this point, I am less than a minute into this match, and I'm on the edge of my seat waiting to see where this goes next. The double axe handle reversal from Austin onto Vega looked amazing. These are some of the best working punches and hits and selling that we've seen, in my opinion. Austin hits Vega with an immaculate suplex. And surprise, surprise, we also get our first view of Mark Henry, the world's strongest man, there in attendance in the audience. That was pretty cool to see. I loved Austin's attempt to use the ropes to leverage the pin. That was lightning fast and liquid smooth and just the kind of thing a heel would do. We cut to commercial with Austin holding Vega in the corner, and come back to Vega attempting a rally, only to get reversed into a whip and then clocked across the back of his head. Austin gave Vega a couple punches in the gut there in the corner. They looked fantastic. I feel like I'm starting to sound like a broken record on this, but I can't highlight enough how great this work is looking. At one point, Vega starts a rally when Austin whips Vega into the corner, and as Austin is coming at him, Vega uses his momentum to put his weight into a roundhouse kick, a beautiful fucking reversal that had the crowd popping. And that's something that I haven't even mentioned yet here in my notes, but has been present through almost the entirety of this match. The crowd was into this. There was a feeling of growing energy from, again, almost the very beginning of this match. Another roundhouse kick in the corner puts Austin over the top rope with its force and was even enough to carry Vega out of the ring as well, both competitors now on the outside. It breaks down into a brawl on the ring apron, each opponent keeping the other out of the ring with great-looking punches until the referee calls the count out on both competitors here, but the action isn't over. These two keep beating on each other. The referee attempts to pull them apart, but these two are like two pit bulls in a dogfight. They want to keep going at it. The crowd booed the count out, but is totally behind this ongoing brawl, the story being amped up. But the useless referees keeps trying to stop them. The ring bell is being just relentlessly and impotently fired off. Finally, Vega nails Austin with another great kick that sends Austin to the outside, punch drunk. But Austin isn't the only one, as Vega gets to his feet in the ring, swaying and punch drunk as well, holding his fists up and inviting Austin to come back in to get some more. Austin is done, though. He's going to be walking off, and they both point at each other, as if to say, I'm not done with you yet. And that's where the segment ends. Guys, I've been really looking forward to talk to you about this because of how great I thought this was. I don't know if it was just nostalgia hitting me or what. This match had everything going for it, and not just Austin, but this is a prime example of why I love Savio Vega. Joe, please get us going on our show opener.
Yeah, this is a Wrestlemania caliber match for free on Monday Night Raw, and kicking it off too, which is great. So they have a match at WrestleMania, and I want to say that there's like some stupid gimmick tied to it, maybe like a strap match or something like that, but I could be wrong. And I hope I'm wrong, because these two work really well together in just a regular match. And as far as the Stone Cold gimmick goes, I guess it's in full force. Vince is really sort of reluctant to just go with it. It's probably because it wasn't his idea.
I mean, I think even Lawler at the beginning, he pretty much solidified his name, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
It's just really strange how they're doing it because, again, I think it's because it wasn't Vince's idea. I think he's sort of not all in yet, but will be very shortly. No entrance for him, so we haven't heard the music yet. We haven't seen the stunner yet, so there's still a lot of great things to look forward to with this. Speaking of great things to look forward to, Mark Henry, I didn't realize he made an appearance this early because it was the 96 Olympics, right? That him and Kurt Angle were in, I think. So that would have been August. Great to see him. I guess in just a few months, we'll be seeing him maybe as a regular, so that'll be cool. Austin has a really great brawler / ground attack already, so I'm still confused when he said he had to change his style. It's really a brawler ground attack right now. I believe that he had to change his style, but maybe it's just not what I think it is. But he's just a great wrestler, and both of these guys do an amazing job of selling during the entire match. And all that stuff after, like all that brawling after, that looked real. Like that looked like they were really, it was like a fight that you'd see in the street and, you know, people breaking it up. It was pretty good stuff. So I enjoyed all of it.
I don't think I have been more excited for a double count out in my life. I mean, right from the beginning, the way that these two just started on each other, and like you just mentioned, Joe, it's clear he's transitioned to the Stone Cold Brawler type wrestler in this match. I mean, it was completely different than what we saw from him 2 months ago when he first came in as the ringmaster. And very quickly, we see Mark Henry, and I do remember, I don't think he'll become a regular quite yet. Like, he'll show up, and then it's clear he needs some work, and I think he goes to OVW for a little bit before he comes back as a little bit better wrestler. But it was really great to see him there, and if this is right in 96, I know they went after Kurt Angle immediately as well, but Kurt Angle ended up turning it down, where I guess Mark Henry must have jumped on it. But back to the match, the way that these two guys worked with each other, I mean, it was classic. We know that these two, they're going to wrestle each other quite a bit, at least at the beginning of the Stone Cold run here, and I couldn't be looking forward to it any more than after what I saw here. I mean, the end of this match, so this isn't to take away from the actual match itself, which they worked like they've worked with each other for years in the ring, the way that this match looked. And then they got knocked out of the ring and they get counted out. You said it looked like a real fight. They didn't even care. The ref's trying to stop it, and they're just beating on each other. To be honest, I think even though this was a count out, it might have been one of the most exciting ends to a match that we've seen on Raw yet. And I don't think it's just nostalgia of it being stone cold. This was one hell of an ending to a match that immediately made me excited for a rivalry set up between the two. And the way that they pointed at each other at the end there, like, no, motherfucker, this ain't done. You knew that this is going to continue, and I am super excited to watch it continue.
Yeah, agreed on all points, and I wanted to hear what you guys had to say first, but I think I want to nominate this for a Match of the Year candidate, especially because it's a show opener on Raw. Something about the way that not just the work, but we went from having no story to now we've got a story, and it can't be any more crystal clear. It seems like these guys were just thrown together randomly into a match, but goddamn, they wanted to fight, and fight they did, and they decided that they weren't done at the end of the match whenever the referee called it, and by the finger pointing, they're still not done with it.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if, like you say, we see this all the time where they just randomly throw two guys together. It makes you wonder if maybe they talked before and said, hey, let's do this little scrum after and see if Vince will put us together more, you know, something. Mm-hmm. Or if it was Vince's idea. Like whoever's idea it was pretty good because it's out of the ordinary.
Yeah, it worked really good.
Really just a whole lot of something from nothing. Well, not nothing, but you know what I mean.
And I also think that it's kind of hilarious that, you know, Stone Cold Steve Austin is going to go on to be the biggest moneymaker for the WWF ever. And the first time that he calls himself Stone Cold Steve Austin, we have a Match of the Year candidate. So if that doesn't tell you where things are going with him.
Well, that's why I wanted to hear what you guys had to say, because I was really concerned that it was maybe just a nostalgia thing on my end, you know, that maybe I was seeing it through rose-colored glasses and it wasn't as good as I thought it was. But seeing as how you guys seem to be right in line, I can't not nominate it because I really do feel that's how good it was.
I agree.
Well, it's not going to be the only one. I mean,
oh yeah, they're
going to have multiple matches, so... Yeah.
We might have to make a choice as to which match we're going to put up of theirs. Yeah.
Well, there's nothing wrong with having a lot of options. And this is March 11th, 1996. We've still got, 9 more months of 96. We've still got Mankind to debut. We've still got a lot of potential candidates to come at us. So this is a fantastic way to begin.
And we have yet to see the new Rockers, too.
Oh, wow. You're right.
We do have this Iron Man match coming up as well.
Yeah. So, back in our episode here, Raw earlier tonight, and this is going to touch on Mr. Mark Henry. The world's strongest man was in the ring with Jerry the King Lawler, and Mr. Mark Henry must not have liked what Lawler was saying because he ended up putting Lawler in a full military press and then just kind of dropping him, which was probably the best way that could have happened. And walked on out of the ring. So let's see what happens with that in the future. We're going to take a look then at the ongoing tag team tournaments. This past weekend, Savio Vega and Razor Ramon defeated the 1-2-3 Kid and Tatanka. And the last first round matchup will be this coming weekend. That will be the Body Donnas versus the Bushwhackers? Where the hell did they come from, and what the hell did they do to take part in this tournament? I don't know. I mean, I can't assume that they'll win.
It's been quite a while since we've seen them close out a Raw.
Yeah, I mean, I know we just talked about tag teams last week and just the state of the division. And again, I have the little kid nostalgia for the Bushwhackers. I can't bring myself to dislike them, but at the same time, they had to have just been brought in to fill in a spot here. I can't give them that much credit. But wait, back in the ring, we were expecting Rowdy Roddy Piper, but Goldust's entrance begins, and damn, Marlena looks amazing. We cut to commercial briefly to head over to the WWF store and a Doc Hendricks voiceover. Doc's got a pair of limited edition numbered WrestleMania 12 denim jackets. And in a new predatory twist, credit card users can opt for 3 monthly payments of $22.95 as opposed to the full upfront cost of $68.85 for those paying with check or money order. Either way, nothing I would buy. Back in the arena, Rowdy Roddy Piper is coming out, and he's got laser focus on Goldust, who's on all fours in the ring waiting for him, much like a gimp in front of Marlena there. Vince McMahon is there in the ring also with a microphone waiting to get this going. Vince tees it up for Roddy, saying that Roddy wanted to give Goldust a piece of his mind. Roddy immediately jumps into it, leading with, "What is your major malfunction, you fruitcake?" Goldust responds by groping and caressing himself. Roddy calls him a transvestite, and the crowd is popping. Roddy also lays down some perfect lines about Goldust in Hollywood and whoring himself in an alley for quarters. I absolutely loved it. Piper is on here. He's the man that beat Adrian Adonis half to death with a baseball bat, for God's sakes. And then Goldust gets on the mic and the crowd fucking hates him. Goldust ramps up on the creepy pervert factor by getting on his knees and salaciously approaching Piper's crotch. While he's delivering his dialogue here, Goldust invites Piper to his back lot. And then Goldust lifts Piper's kilt and comes around and sensuously opens the sporran hanging at Piper's crotch. And Roddy gives Goldust a shove to create some space between them, which Goldust follows with a punch that makes the entire arena erupt with an "oh," just like in the cafeteria in high school. And there we have it. The backlot brawl is set. So, guys, this is where I texted you in the podcast thread saying that I can't wait to talk about this with you. This entire interaction had me popping my ass off. I was feeling that crowd energy. I was invested in both individuals. I was engrossed in this story. And I am officially all in on this whole fucking angle. I loved every second of it, and it feels like it was just more of the wave peaking after that initial energy of the Stone Cold Steve Austin match. The energy kept climbing into this interview, and I was feeling it. Joe, let's hear your thoughts on Mark Henry, the tag team tournament, and this red-hot confrontation between Roddy Piper and Goldust.
Well, with Mark Henry, again, I'm going to enjoy anytime we see him. I'm a big Mark Henry fan, both in and out of the ring. I know he struggled at the beginning, but I'm still looking forward to his early days. The tag team tournament with the Bushwhackers. So my only theory on this is the Razor Ramon suspension possibly messing things up here. So maybe that's why the Bushwhackers were called in. Because he was tagging with, who was it that he was
Savio
tagging
Vega.
with? Savio Vega. And didn't they say that they won against somebody?
Yeah, they beat the 1-2-3 Kid in Tatanka.
Yeah, that's right. So I guess that's probably the reason why, but who knows? And who cares? Because it's not going to be on anything that we're going to watch. So fuck it. Now, for Goldust, one thing I know we all can agree on, Goldust and Marlena, they have no business being out there. As Vince told us. I have mixed feelings on this. I think that the concept of it, for the most part, is pretty good. And keep in mind that Roddy Piper is kind of used as an emergency situation here because this was supposed to be Razor Ramon. So he is doing a pretty good job with taking over in that role. I have to admit, I don't, and I understand I'm probably just naive, but do you guys remember Goldust being this gay? Like,
No.
He is.
Yeah, I mean, I think he starts to tone it down relatively quick.
Maybe, but now I totally get why Conrad Thompson busts Bruce Pritchard's balls about the androgynous thing, because Goldust is fucking gay. Like, he's getting down on his knees and practically blowing a man on television. And it's like, they're kind of playing the being gay is wrong thing, and the crowd is enjoying it. So it's kind of rough to watch it, I guess, now. But back then, controversy creates cash. So, it was a different time, I guess. Again, like I said, I like the concept because Goldust is like this fake movie star guy, and Roddy Piper is a real movie star. So you can make that stuff work, but you got Roddy Piper calling him a fruitcake and a cream puff, and the crowd is enjoying that. I don't know. I mean, it's a little risky. I think Sonny probably should have told us at the beginning of this show that this was for mature audiences only. And you know what else, too, is with Marlena being there, it sort of makes it just more fake to me. Like when Goldust was there without Marlena near the beginning, he was sort of androgynous. But now it's just like he's really ramping it up now because Marlena's there. So it's like sort of still confusing, but like he's basically just playing a homosexual character. And it's confusing because he has this woman with him. So it's still just, like I said, I have mixed feelings. I think they're doing a good job at what they're supposed to do, but I just feel like it's just not that great now.
So starting with Mark Henry, yeah, it was kind of cool to see him there, them playing up him being the strongest man in the world. And it reminded me of a story I heard, I believe from JR, about a little bit into Mark Henry's run. There was someone in Europe, I believe, that was challenging his claim to being the strongest man in the world. And Mark Henry wanted to meet this challenge. And Vince gave him time off to train for it. But before he did, he told him, just so you know, there's no room in the WWE for the second strongest man. What motivation, right? But that was something I just thought of when they just kept on mentioning, which we'll hear many times over the next decade, the world's strongest man. The tag team thing with the Bushwhackers, I got to agree with Joe. I think it just has to do with their very timely suspension of Razor Ramon, and they just called up their old reliables in the Bushwhackers and threw them in there. To get to this incident between Rowdy Piper and Goldust, I kind of agree with you, Joe, in that it's tough because it is extremely 90s. The heat that Goldust was pulling was significant, and Roddy did a great job at his promo that he cut on Goldust. It was just very much set in the 90s with the things being said. It would never fly today, and for good reason, because some of the stuff that Rowdy said was pretty rude, I guess you could say, in one way. And Goldust, though, played it up. I mean, when he went around and was just crawling around Piper and starting to lift up his quilt, if Bartlett would,
yeah, his
kilt, it was, it was like a Star's, softcore porn was almost what was happening on stage here. So I think they both did their jobs extremely well here. It just, in today's time, kind of misses its mark.
So it seems like I am willing to go balls deep into Goldust on this. Just to keep with the gimmick here. See, I'm not sure that he's intentionally going gay with it, as you say, Joe. I keep trying to hang my hat on that whole psychological warfare thing that we were talking about. Because as you say, this Piper thing is a substitute for Razor Ramon, and especially with Marlena there, it feels to me like this is just it's a deliberate fuck you. Like I know this homosexual behavior is going to intimidate and disgust you, so I'm going to ramp it up, even though it's very clearly not real.
I completely agree with you there from Goldust's stance. Where I think it misses the mark, the story here is, hey, crowd, cheer on the fact that we don't want someone like this in here.
Yeah, that's
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's where the problem is.
Yeah.
That's the babyface angle, is we don't want him here. Someone like him.
Yeah, just to clear it up, Goldust is acting. We know that it's not real. He's acting.
Yeah.
But yeah, the message is let's get this crowd on board with basically beating up this guy because it's like you're catering to that crowd of people that are like, oh, well, I don't mind gay people as long as they don't touch me. You know, like
as
that.
As long as they don't
yeah.
ever talk about it.
Right. That's the kind of crowd you're appealing to. And kids watch this. So, like, you're kind of saying, like, hey, it's okay to call someone a fruitcake and a cream puff if they're a little light in the loafers when you go to school tomorrow, you know? And, like, the crowd's going to enjoy this. The crowd's
light in the loafers? What the fuck is that? I've never heard that before. Did you say light in the loafers?
You've never heard that?
No.
Oh, okay. Well,
it's a term.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a pretty touchy thing, I think, for them. It's pretty risky because, like I said, the group, the gay rights groups were going after them for legitimately good reasons. That they're saying that he's coming off as a predator and it's okay to bully and beat those people up.
Yeah. And you have excellent points with all of that. I can't argue any of that. But there's just something about it. And I think this is why I end up kind of rooting for Goldust in this and why I like Goldust as a character. Even though that's all true, it's still a person that, I mean, androgynous is bullshit, obviously, but he's some kind of non-heterosexual. I think we can agree on that. Maybe bisexual, who knows? But it's still somebody that is not the norm, basically saying, fuck you, I'm going to fuck with you and your fragile masculinity, because he's gone from, one man's man to another man's man here, from Razor to Piper. I don't know. I like that underdog challenge.
But I think the problem is he's being portrayed clearly as the heel because of that, though.
Yeah.
And that being gay is wrong because
that is the underlying tone here.
You had Razor saying, like, hey, there's kids watching this, you shouldn't be acting like this. And then Roddy Piper basically does the same thing. So it's just a slippery slope.
You could make the argument, kids watching this because you were giving that bagpipe a blowjob last week. You could say that.
I did not realize that he was doing stuff that was this gay. I mean, blowing bagpipes, getting on your knees and stuff. I mean, not making it sound like there's something wrong with that. It's just, I didn't know they went that far with it. And again, I totally understand why Conrad Thompson bust on Pritchard's balls for that.
Yeah. I mean, and again, all excellent points. I don't disagree with anything you guys are saying. And I just wanted to say that because I think that's why I'm marking out so hard for this, because it brings with it that unclimbable mountain of getting over in front of a crowd of people that are legitimately ignorant and just hate your fucking guts for existing. I don't know. Like I said, the underdog story, I guess, even though he's the heel. All right. Well, we'll come out of that interview and go straight into our next match. The Godwins, Henry and Phineas, with Hillbilly Jim, defeat Jerry Meade and Alex Porteau by pinfall in 1 minute and 52 seconds. And Alex Porteau is our Jobber of the Week. Take it, Ryan.
Thank you, Jason. Alex Porteau is this week's Jobber. He was born Alexander Porteau on October 30th, 1969 in Bossier City, Louisiana. He has gone by the ring names Beach Bully, Custom Made Crippler,
Jeez,
Heartbreaker Apollo, and the Pug.
Wow.
As well as Alexander Porteau.
That's much better.
He was trained by Jim Starr and made his in-ring debut on December 17th, 1987. Alex began his career in the Fort Worth, Texas promotion, World Class Championship Wrestling, wrestling with them from 88 to 89 before jumping to United States Wrestling Association in 1990, staying there for 1 year. From 91 to 94, Prideaux wrestled for both the Dallas, Texas promotion Global Wrestling Federation, winning their light heavyweight championship on 4 different occasions, as well as the Puerto Rican promotion World Wrestling Council, which we've heard quite a bit of at this point from jobbers. That seems to be a favorite of theirs. He also won their junior heavyweight championship once. In 95, Alex spent wrestling in Japan for the Network of Wrestling before returning to the States in 96 to wrestle for the WWF full-time. After a brief stint as jobber, Prideaux would receive a small push under the name Alex the Pug Prideaux.
Wow.
With the gimmick of a amateur wrestler, and he'll actually use the Steiner Brothers entrance music.
I wondered.
Sometimes even teaming up with other lower/mid-carders like Aldo Montoya and Bob Holly, but mostly he'll lose to WWF greats like Goldust, Mick Foley, Owen Hart, and Triple H. His time with the WWF was short-lived, being released in 97 and making one more appearance for the WWE in 2009 at WrestleMania 25 as a member of the John Cena Army.
Oh my God.
After leaving the WWF, John Cena After leaving the WWF, Alex joined WCW for a couple years working as a jobber before leaving for the independent circuit in 2000, where he would bounce between indie promotions for the next 18 years. His last match was on November 17th, 2018 for the German-based promotion DWA, winning with partner Rob Raw against Dark Mito and Voodoo. Alex Prideaux now lives out his retirement like many other American retirees in Orlando, Florida with his wife. At the end of his career, his record was 98 wins, 151 losses, and 17 draws, losing 57% of his matches, putting him firmly into jobber territory.
Man, those names. Wow.
The Pug.
The pug is a joke, I guess. I mean, pugs are just cute little dogs. I mean,
whenever you had said Alex the Pug Prideaux, the first thing I thought was, like a little bitty version of the dog-faced gremlin Rick Steiner.
Okay,
Bulldog.
Or the Bulldog, yeah. That would probably make more sense. Well, back in the ring, the Godwins have a hound dog with them, and it's not a pug. That kind of surprised me, because that dog didn't look like it was having a good time.
No.
Henry is out first against Jerry Mead, and Jerry Mead looks like PC Principal from South Park, only without the sunglasses. Phineas gets tagged in then and goes to work, and ends up losing his shit going after these guys, ending up on all fours and giving random mule kicks in the ring. So much so that Henry has to come in and restrain him. Alex Prideaux, I thought, was kind of horrible in the ring, not just his work, but he looked like he had zinc oxide on his nose to protect from sunburn inside the arena. And that's it. Alex Prideaux gets the slop drop from Henry, and the match is over. 1:52, folks. A good old-fashioned squash. Ryan, please, what did you think of the first jobber match we've had in a long while?
It was great to get to finally get another jobber here, or a few of them. I went with Alex as Jobber of the Week solely because the other guy in this match, including Vin Greer later on, are both Monday night specials. This will be their only time showing up as wrestlers. Alex being the only one that actually had a wrestling career, so I picked him as the Jobber of the Week. And I agree with you. He didn't have much to show in the ring. This was more to show off, I guess, that Phineas has a crazy side. I guess that was the point of this match. You said he was kicking around like a donkey. I thought he looked like a pig that was going crazy, kicking up its hind legs. Whatever, it doesn't matter. He was trying to show some type of farm animal. But this was just a by-the-book jobber tag team match. You know, the jobbers weren't going to get anything together, and they just got annihilated by Team Godwin here, as Henry got the slop drop on Alex here and got the 3 count. So no surprise, but very nice to have a jobber match. And I was a little bit worried I was going to be rusty, but I think it came back.
Well, you almost called John Cena a jobber, but we'll let that slide.
No, well, you know.
This match, I don't have much to say about it. Obviously, it's a squash, and it is nice to see a couple jobbers, but why are we getting this on Raw, but the tag tournament is on Superstars? Like, why don't we get some of those matches instead? So I was just a little confused by that. I'm glad there was no phone call or stupid shit during it, because I thought there would be when I first saw this. But, you know, it's just a good old-fashioned jobber match and served its purpose.
Yeah, 100% agreed on that. Nothing much to add. So we will keep it moving to a Wrestlemania update. At Wrestlemania, we're going to have the Iron Man Championship match between Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. And Jim Ross was out with Shawn Michaels to see how Shawn's been training. And here we get a video vignette where Shawn Michaels introduces us to Jose Lothario, the man that brought him into the business and taught him everything he knew. We get scenes from Shawn training in the ring, doing cardio training, weightlifting, and giving us his story of starting at age 19 under Jose's training. And now we're going to switch afterwards to a Jim Ross voiceover coming now from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and Bret Hart's training regimen. Bret lays down some serious shit talking here. It sounds great. And we hear about Bret's submission training and Bret's thoughts on Shawn's style. While Shawn, in his vignette, came across as helping to tell the story, Bret comes across to me as nothing but 100% genuine in his disdain and disregard for Shawn Michaels' ability and popularity. I fucking loved it. This was 100% oozing arrogance from Bret Hart in that good way that he does it. It was a great little spot from him. Later on, we've still got that tag team match with Yokozuna and The Undertaker taking on the British Bulldog and Owen Hart. Also, we're going to have Scheme Gene talking about that geriatric match during the Wrestlemania event. But now, a new segment on Raw, the Slam of the Week. And this is just a replay of somebody taking a bump. And in this case, Yokozuna has 2 jobbers stacked up in the corner. He gives them a banzai drop and pins them both at the same time with his enormous ass. Ryan, what did you have on these training videos as well as this new Slam of the Week segment?
I thought these training videos were pretty good. Again, just continuing to set up this Iron Man match that we're already excited for. And I thought both guys did a pretty good job. Shawn Michaels, just showing off his training with his mentor and trainer. And then we go to Bret Hart and completely agree with how great his confidence was in this. Like, at the end of it, he was just disgusted at the fact that people thought that Shawn Michaels could even be in his league. The way he said, that just drives me nuts. I did think there was an interesting comment by him when he was talking about Shawn Michaels learning in the Mexican style his whole life. And again, this comes back to it being in the mid-90s. And Bret Hart says, I don't know of a really, really tough Mexican wrestler. What a statement to even make. But outside of that comment, the rest of this was really good. Just, again, setting up this Iron Man match. So excellent job there. The Slam of the Week, I was glad to see our karate fighters back, our favorite toy here. They're the ones that present, I guess, the Slam of the Week. And this time it's just Yokozuna, I'm guessing on Superstars, giving the bonsai drop to 2 jobbers and squashing them. So I have to see a few more of these before I have a real opinion on it, I guess.
Yeah, the video for the Iron Man match, both of these videos, I remember this vividly, and I enjoyed these very much. I think that for people that are critical of the Iron Man match, I think that those people should go back and watch these videos, these vignettes and promos. All of the build-up is just great. Have they built up a match like this that's been like this real? I don't think they have since we've started watching. So it has that big fight feel to it. Jim Ross does an awesome job at the introductions to the videos. I love that Shawn Michaels and Jose Lothario are standing outside the Alamo while they're talking. I think that's fantastic. Bret is in Stu's dungeon working with Stu. That is awesome. And Bret talking shit on Shawn Michaels, I was kind of hoping he would talk himself up a little bit too, but he just talked shit on Shawn Michaels the entire time, which was fine, but I think he should have maybe talked about himself too. I mean, it's just two thoroughbreds that are going to be in the ring for an hour. I mean, how can you go wrong? This is just too easy. So I loved it. Slam of the week, Yokozuna. This was one of the safest bonsai drops that we've seen. He looked like he was being very, very careful with it.
It's a lot of weight to come down on some people.
Yeah.
Gotta protect those knees and ankles, man, whenever you're arresting that much momentum.
And those jobbers.
Well, we all know that the limit is 4 banzai drops that can be withstood, so we were safe with this. All right. Well, that segment will take us into our next match. Hunter Hearst Helmsley defeats Vin Greer by pinfall in 1 minute and 53 seconds. Here's where we get the news that Hunter Hearst Helmsley will be the Ultimate Warrior's opponent at Wrestlemania. So let's cut to a video segment for that. He was faster than a cheetah, stronger than a grizzly, more terrifying than a great white shark. And just when they thought it was safe to go back in the ring, he's back, and you ain't seen nothing yet. Which is absolutely true. We haven't seen anything new of the Ultimate Warrior yet at all. Just these repackaged and repurposed scenes that are, probably at least 6 years old? I'm guessing 6, 7 years old, right about like that in there. Well, back in the ring here, Hunter is there with a ridiculously attractive woman that Vince names as Michelle Snickler. I was unable to find any information on her at all, unfortunately. And the match begins with Vin Greer folding like a sheet. This match is entirely Helmsley beating the shit out of Greer. Hunter looking good, and Greer just kind of there and taking it. We get to the pedigree and the 3 count, finishing it up with Hunter wiping the sweat from his brow and flicking it onto Greer as Greer lays on the mat. Another jobber match here, clocking in at less than 2 minutes. It's like we're back in 93 or 94 here. Joe, what did you think of it?
I love what a dick Helmsley is with these girls, because he goes and kisses them and then wipes it off immediately after. Helmsley's thing is being vicious with guys in the corner. That is his thing, and I love it. I think that it's an old school style that I just love seeing, and the pedigree is a fantastic finish. Doesn't get enough credit. It's up there for me. One of my favorite finishing moves for sure. As far as the Ultimate Warrior stuff goes, I mean, let's just get it over with, you know? That's kind of where I am with it at this point.
Yeah, I don't care. This is the same video we've seen week in and week out with the Warriors, so let's just get on with it. And this jobber match, very, very good jobber match out of Hunter Hearst Helmsley. He obviously is taking the lead here in this match, and he just annihilates Vin Greer, but it looks pretty good. You know, Vin Greer didn't have to do much at all. It was just taking a beating by Hunter, and as you mentioned, Joe, Hunter looks great in the corner. He also looks great every time he throws those upper forearms. I've mentioned him many times, but I don't think anyone gives an upper forearm like Hunter does. And that's it. Just a bunch of hard slaps in the corner and then the pedigree. And, you know, I agree. The pedigree is a fantastic finish because I don't know of any other wrestler who has anything like it. It's unique, and you could put it on anyone. There's no one, the Undertaker down to Montoya, you can give it to, and it's going to look the same. So it is a fantastic finish. I agree with you, Joe. This here was another serviceable standard jobber match, and I kind of enjoyed seeing two of these in a row.
I agree. It was almost like a palate cleanser, kind of. Just something small, something that was non-offensive, something that was standard that you could just chew on for a minute, or in this case, a minute 53, and spit back out again and move along. Something that I wish that we could just spit out and move along from and never come back to. We're going to continue with Billionaire Ted. This time, we're going to be in the Geriatric Control Center with Scheme Gene. Scheme Gene is talking about how the Huckster and the Nacho Man will be taking each other on during the free-for-all program prior to Wrestlemania, which is good because I was a little concerned there for a while that they might expect us to pay to see that match in the pay-per-view, which would have seriously affected whether or not I'd gotten my money's worth. Once again, though, I don't know what it is. I have to admit, I am mildly entertained by the added stipulation in this match that no handcuffs or ladies' shoes will be allowed at ringside for this match. God, I wish I knew what this ladies' shoe thing was all about. It's the only thing in any of these segments that is the least bit interesting or entertaining to me, and I have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. There's stupid cartoony footage of the Huckster training, unable to do just about anything except suck on an oxygen tank. Nacho, on the other hand, is doing his training by just getting some spray-on hair applied. Ugh. Also, Billionaire Ted is going to be the special guest referee there, I guess. If any of our listeners back then or now want to get more details from Scheme Gene, you can call and find out what's going on at 1-900 Baldy, which, as we all know, is quite different than 1-900 Titan 91 option 6.
Or 1-900 Shameless.
It's funny, while other editions of Billionaire Ted came across as disgusting or pathetic, this one came across as just extremely lame to me. Like, it didn't really elicit a strong reaction like some of the other ones, other than, like, geez, this is just fucking lame. But this brings me to my question. Joe, did Scheme Gene bring you around on this comedy gold?
No, it's just more bad comedy. This time they threw in some of that old-timey comedy music.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just really bad. The stuff with the shoe, I don't know if they're referring to during this time period, I think is when Miss Elizabeth appeared on WCW and turned heel, went with Ric Flair and maybe hit Hogan with her shoe. I don't know if maybe that's what they're referring to.
Okay.
I honestly don't know either, but that would be my guess. And who cares?
Yeah, same. I've lost interest in this 10 weeks ago. So to say I'm not interested in it now would be an understatement. But the Scheme Gene thing, it's still baffling how they will sit here and make fun of his pay call-in line and then do the exact same thing next week.
Yeah.
That is head-scratching to me, but... But the rest of this was pretty worthless, including the Nacho Man getting some Ron Popeil spray-on hair.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, even Ron Popeil can't save this segment. It was terrible.
Hair in a can, my goodness. Yeah, nothing much to add. Just so lame. So lame. And I'm glad it's going to run its course here. It sucks that it's going to last until WrestleMania. But I kind of have a strong feeling we're not really going to see it past that. Hopefully, fingers crossed. We will leave Scheme Gene and come back to some high energy and our final match of the night. Yokozuna and The Undertaker with Paul Bearer defeat Owen Hart and the British Bulldog Davey Boy Smith with Jim Cornette via disqualification in 5 minutes and 19 seconds. Camp Cornette is out first, and then Yokozuna follows, We cut to commercial during Yoko's entrance to get a push for next week's Raw, Bret Hart versus Tatanka. And we come back to the ring to hear the bell tolling, Paul Bearer coming out in silhouette first, being followed by The Undertaker. And then we got a split screen with Diesel, which ended with Diesel hinting at some kind of rumors about Shawn Michaels and then shoving the camera away when Vince asks him about those rumors. For the record, there's no clarification on what those rumors are, as well as no previous mention of them prior to this moment, so it's just kind of left hanging there, with no explanation or follow-up in this episode. In the ring, Undertaker and Yoko stand toe-to-toe, which lures in Owen and the Bulldog, but Taker and Yoko round on them and put them both down, with the Undertaker's punch to Owen's face looking and sounding especially strong. So far, Earl Hebner has been absolutely useless in enforcing the rules of the ring until Taker and Yoko clear it out. But my issues with referees aside, this was a pretty entertaining start to the match until Diesel started walking down the entryway. And there were some boos from the crowd for that. I did like hearing that. It's about time somebody started booing Diesel. I know he's been getting it a little bit here and there, but this was very audible. Diesel clotheslines Paul Bearer and then lights him up with some punches a few times before heading back up the ramp. It takes a moment, but Undertaker finally realizes what happened, with Paul Bearer on the floor gesturing and wailing for the Undertaker to go get him being Diesel. And we cut to commercial just as Undertaker starts to do that, heading up the entryway, and come back from that commercial to Owen Hart in control of Yokozuna. The Undertaker is nowhere in sight, and Vince lets us know that the cameras haven't found them in the locker room yet. Hebner stands there and allows the double team on Yokozuna, but as Yoko is rallying, here comes Big Van Vader. And that third man is apparently enough for Hebner to call the match at a DQ. But wait, there's more, as Ahmed Johnson hits the ring and does a fair job of slamming both Owen and the Bulldog, as well as holding his own with Vader. And then things get a little less spectacular when Jake the Snake Roberts enters the ring. He's moving a little better than the last time we saw him, but not by much. We get a camera angle of Yoko in the corner with Vader laying in some serious sounding body hits. The Bulldog is on Ahmed, Vader is on Yoko, and Owen is on Jake, who is no-selling everything laying on the ropes. The ring fills with humanity, as Vince puts it, that being a reference to all of the officials pouring in, office people as well as referees. And finally, Camp Cornette exits the ring, Jake the Snake strolls over to Yoko like there's nothing wrong at all, and that's where we fade to black to end our episode. So, Ryan, I was trying to give you the first word on our Undertaker match here, but I had no idea that Taker would play such a minimal role in it. What are your thoughts on our final match and the way that Raw ended tonight?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting him to play such a small role in this match either. And, my anger with it started right at the beginning. We're getting the classic Undertaker entrance, and then it's interrupted by a split screen of Diesel. I mean, we have to sit through Shawn Michaels striptease every week, but yet we can't get through an entire Undertaker's entrance, I guess. My excitement actually extended slightly into the beginning, where I thought it was a pretty cool scene at the beginning where Yoko and the Undertaker kind of square off, looking each other in the ring, and then they both turn at the exact right moment to start pounding on Owen and the Bulldog as they come in at him. I thought that was pretty good. Then things got a little bit out of control with all four guys beating on each other and the ref never really getting control of the match from that point. But then it all goes downhill from there. Diesel comes out. He beats on Paul Bearer and the Undertaker is gone from that point on. After we come back, it's 2-on-1 with Yoko. And of course, like the same thing we've seen about 100 times so far, Vader comes out. I mean, this is just, again, carbon copy ending of Vader causing a interruption and a disqualification in a Yoko match. I guess to make it exactly like the last time, Ahmed Johnson and Jake the Snake come out to help him. We could have just saved time from the last 2-3 minutes of this match and just rewatched it from a week or two ago when the exact same thing happened. I don't understand why they thought that this would work. You know, Vince at the very end reminds us, hey, do you remember when Vader did this to Gorilla? And I go, yeah, that's the last time this was actually entertaining that you did it. So let's stop with it because it's the same thing every week.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, so with this match, if you're a stickler for the rules, you're not going to like it, but I think that I enjoyed the beginning where all four men were in the ring together and then Diesel comes out. So it's immediately ruined. Sort of a lazy way to keep both of these stories going for WrestleMania. You got the Diesel Undertaker stuff and then the stuff with Yoko, Ahmed, and Jake versus Owen, Bulldog, and Vader. So immediately I'm already expecting Ahmed Johnson or Jake Roberts and probably Vader to come out, and there's Vader. So, yeah, it's just too predictable and nothing too exciting. But I will say this. It was a good opportunity for a hot ending for Raw. We have been suffering through Scheme Gene and Billionaire Ted and all this bullshit to end Raw. At least they ended it with some sort of hot ending, which I thought was great.
Yeah, agreed 100% on that. And I don't have much to add there. I'll address it here shortly, what I have to say on it. So, as I said, that was the end of our episode. We faded to black. Let's take it on over now to highlights and lowlights. Joe, why don't you take it first?
Well, my highlight is what I just finished saying, is that we finally got a hot ending for Raw and not some stupid comedy skit. I think that was good. For my low light, I'm going to go with the Godwins jobber match because, like I said, nothing against the match, but why are we getting this and not any of those tag team tournament matches on Raw? I just don't get it.
So my highlight is going to be the Stone Cold Steve Austin Savio Vega match. It was just such a great match and it had me smiling from ear to ear. As I mentioned during the breakdown, I think it was one of the best endings to a match that we've had in our time reviewing Raw. I mean, even though it was a count out, I thought it was the best thing we've seen. So standout highlight there. The low light, I'm going to go with the final match, Yokozuna Undertaker, only because I was expecting a decent match between Yokozuna Undertaker teaming up here, but the Undertaker leaves immediately to continue this feud with Diesel, and then we get this carbon copy ending that we've seen time and time again where Vader comes down and interrupts a Yoko match. And I just want to see something different here. So that was my low light.
Yeah, I'm going to almost line up with you on that. My highlight, Austin Vega, fantastic match. You've hit the nail on the head with all of the same points that I had here for that. So my low light is going to be the point where Diesel starts walking down the entryway, because it's from that point forward that this final match of the night went to shit. And pretty much everything bad that happened in it can be blamed on that one moment. If he hadn't have done that, we wouldn't have had everything else that followed. So kind of a cheap shot, I know, but that's what I ended up going with. All right, so Joseph, do you have any contemporary wrestling news from on and around March 11th, 1996 for us?
Just a couple things to note here. Nothing that's going to make an impact right away, but a couple things I thought were interesting here. Number one, Mark Marrow has quit WCW and is expected to sign a 3-year deal with the WWF. So look for Mark Marrow coming in soon, and you guys are aware of who comes with him. So yeah, that's coming real soon here. And directly from The Observer, I will read this word for word. A newcomer named Craig Johnson, or Dwayne Johnson, got a pin over Brooklyn Brawler. Not sure who the guy was, but it was a tryout match, and he looked green, but okay, I guess.
Craig Johnson.
I thought that was hilarious.
I feel like that should go down in infamy. The fuck up of, I don't know, some guy named Dwayne or Craig Johnson. Some no-namer that's not going to make it anywhere.
Yep, and that's all I have this week. You know, after combing through everything, it was basically just a lot of recaps of what happened at Superstars tapings and all that stuff. So those were the two interesting pieces I had for this week.
All right. Thank you, Joseph. Illuminating as always. And that's it, folks. We are done with this one. I want to thank you again for joining us. If you like what we're doing here and want to connect with us, you can email us at WRASSLINRAW and just add @gmail.com to the end of that to submit questions or comments. Check us out on social media and on every podcast subscription platform. While you're there, don't forget to follow and subscribe to get every episode of Wrasslin Raw coming to you every week. Give us a 5-star review and let your friends know how much cooler they would be if they became Rawheads like you and me. Next week on Wrasslin Raw, we're going to take a look at the Raw that aired on March 18th, 1996, with matches featuring Jake the Snake Roberts, Barry Horowitz, and many more. So, for Joe and Ryan, I'm Jason, and this has been Wrasslin Raw.